Thank you very much, Stephen. And it was an extraordinary delegation to be on. And actually, it feels like an enormous privilege, having been on that delegation, to now be with you here today and have the opportunity to just reflect briefly on that visit. And I'd also like to just thank, as well as you, Stephen, my former chief exec for the party through that difficult general election, and now in the House of Lords, Stephen Massey, just for everything that you've done for our party as well over the last few years as a treasurer, and also so involved in CFI as well. But Elke and her predecessor had been trying to get me to go on one of these delegations for years, and I'd finally managed to get there this year. And it was incredibly moving in February as I stood in one of the kibbutzim that were brutally attacked on October the 7th. It is hard to put into words how it feels standing amidst all of that destruction. The houses weren't just torn apart. Many just burnt out shells, their walls riddled with bullets. In some parts of the village, every single home had been hit, and some had crumbled during the brutal fighting that had clearly gone on as the IDF had come and tried to retake the village. And this village I was in, Kfar Aza, sits just over a kilometre away from Gaza, and you feel that proximity, really physically and incredibly emotionally. And I'm someone who grew up in a small rural area of the north of England. I didn't have any connections to the Jewish community nor to Israel before I came to the LSE in London as a teenager. And it's only since coming to London and then to being an MP that I've really started to probably understand more about a conflict which I think is skirted over the complexities of in so much of our media today. And I heard from survivors, including families still waiting for loved ones to come home, and from those who'd been held hostage and released, the Nova Musical Festival site, the quiet crowds, and it was crowds and crowds of people stood paying their respects. And that really brought home the truth that October the 7th was not just a terror attack, but a calculated attempt to destroy joy and shatter peace. Above all, what stayed with me was not just the trauma, but the resilience and the unbreakable will of a people who refused to be cowed by terror. And that was very much the case everywhere we went across Israel. Our support as a party and as a country for Israel's security and for a lasting peace is not a political position. It is a moral duty, especially when there are those who still seek to deny what happened, not just across the world, but even now in our own parliament. The barbarism, the torture, the abuse, it matters to those still living with the trauma of October the 7th, those hostages still there, and those who wake every day with the knowledge that this could happen again, and there are people who want it to happen again. So, to the CFI, thank you so much, not just for organising this lunch, but for everything that you do to strengthen the vital bonds between Israel and our Conservative Party. We stand, and we continue to stand with Israel and with its people. Thank you very much.